Secret of the Cornfield Fence. Life and love lessons from rural America. Well now, pull up a chair, won't you? The sun's just starting its slow dip behind the old cornfields, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple that no artist could ever truly capture. That's the thing about a summer evening out here, isn't it? It just wraps around you like a warm blanket, soft and familiar, smelling of cut grass and distant rain. The air's getting cool now, carrying the faint scent of honeysuckle from Mrs. Gable's porch down the road. And if you listen real close, you can hear the crickets starting their evening song, a symphony that's been playing out here for generations. It's been a long time, I know, but some things, some feelings, they just stay with you, etched deep in the heart like the lines on an old oak tree. This old porch, it's seen a lot of sunsets, heard a lot of stories, and tonight I reckon it's time to tell another one. It's a story about this place, about the people who made it home, and about how a boy like me found his way in the world, guided by the quiet wisdom of the land and the unwavering light of a love that grew right here, by a simple cornfield fence. If this kind of story brings back something in your heart, something true and good, go ahead and subscribe to PorchTales, give it a like, and share it with someone who still remembers how it used to be, how life felt when the days stretched out long and golden, and every moment held a promise.
This old shirt? Oh, it's got stories to tell. But if the spirit of this America, honest work, tight-knit community, speaks to you, well, a fresh piece of it might be closer than you think. It's the truth we live by.
A little sprout when I first started to understand the rhythm of this place. Our gravel road, always a little dusty in the summer, a little muddy in the spring, was the main artery of our world. It led straight to town, to the general store where Mr. Henderson always had a peppermint stick waiting, and to the diner, the daily grind, where Martha held court. Martha, bless her heart, she knew everything. She knew your coffee order before you even sat down, knew if your grandpa was feeling poorly, knew when the first corn was knee-high by the 4th of July. Her voice was like warm honey, and her hands, though always busy wiping down counters or flipping pancakes, were surprisingly gentle when she'd pat your shoulder and tell you everything would be all right. She had a way of making you feel seen, truly seen, in a world that sometimes felt too big for a small boy. I remember one particularly rough morning. I'd scraped my knee pretty bad falling off my bike, and I limped into the diner, tears welling up. Martha took one look, sat me down on a stool, and without a word, brought me a glass of chocolate milk and a fresh-baked cookie, still warm from the oven. She didn't fuss, didn't ask a million questions, just let me be, and that quiet understanding was more comforting than any bandage. That's the kind of woman Martha was, the kind of heart she had. She'd seen generations come and go, watched kids grow into adults, and adults grow into elders, always with that same steady presence, a comforting anchor in the ever-changing tides of life. Her diner wasn't just a place to eat. It was the town's living room, its confessional, its unofficial news hub. You could walk in any morning and know the pulse of the community just by listening to the clatter of cups and the murmur of conversations. My earliest memories are steeped in the golden light of those long summers. Days spent barefoot, the cool earth squishing between my toes, chasing fireflies as dusk settled, their tiny lights blinking like fallen stars. We'd spend hours down by Miller's Creek, skipping flat stones across the water, watching them dance and disappear, or trying to catch sunfish with makeshift holes and worms dug from the rich, dark soil behind the barn. My best friend, Billy, lived just a few fields over. His dad, Old Man Hemlock, was the kind of farmer you read about in books. His hands were gnarled and strong, stained with the earth, but his voice was soft, a low rumble like distant thunder, and his eyes held a kindness that could melt the hardest heart. He taught me how to tell if a storm was coming by the way the wind smelled, how to mend a fence, and the true meaning of patience as we waited for the corn to grow, tall and green, stretching towards the sky. He'd sit on his porch, just like this, whittling a piece of wood into some animal shape, and tell stories of his own youth, of droughts and bountiful harvests, of neighbors helping neighbors, and of a time when the world moved a little slower, a little more deliberately. I remember one afternoon, I must have been about 10, Old Man Hemlock found me trying to fix a broken wagon wheel. I was frustrated, ready to give up. He just watched me for a moment, then slowly walked over, picked up a piece of wood, and started whittling. He didn't say anything, just worked, his movements deliberate and calm. After a few minutes, he handed me the piece of wood. It was a perfect little bird. Sometimes, he said, his voice raspy, you gotta step back, look at the whole thing, and find the beauty in the broken pieces. Then, you can fix it. He helped me fix that wheel, and that simple lesson, delivered without a lecture, stuck with me for a lifetime. He had a way of teaching without ever making you feel like you're being taught. just sharing wisdom as naturally as breathing. He taught me how to listen to the land, how to feel its rhythms, how to respect its power and its generosity. He showed me how to plant a seed, not just in the ground, but in my heart, the idea that something small and seemingly insignificant could grow into something vital and sustaining. The summers here were a symphony of sounds. The distant hum of a tractor working the fields, the buzz of cicadas in the midday heat, the screen door creaking open and shut as my mama called us in for supper, the clatter of dishes, and the gentle murmur of adult voices from the kitchen. Supper was always a feast, even if it was just fresh cornbread, green beans from the garden, and fried chicken. Mama had a way with food, making everything taste like love. And the smell of that fresh cornbread, warm and sweet, still takes me back to those evenings, gathered around the old oak table, sharing stories from the day, the lamplight casting long shadows across the walls. After supper, if the weather was fair, we'd often sit out on the porch, the air cooling, the stars beginning to pepper the velvet sky. Papa would sometimes pull out his old harmonica, playing tunes that were as old as the hills, melodies that spoke of longing and belonging, of hard work and simple joys. Those were the moments when the world felt complete, a perfect harmony of family, nature, and tradition. My mama, she was the quiet strength of our home. Her hands were always busy, kneading dough, mending clothes, tending to her small but vibrant flower garden. She didn't speak much, but her presence was a constant comfort, a warm embrace that needed no words. She taught me the value of a clean home, a full belly, and a peaceful heart. Papa, on the other hand, was a man of few words but deep thoughts. He worked the land with a quiet determination, his face weathered by sun and wind, but his eyes always held a spark of humor and a profound love for his family. He taught me how to drive the old tractor before my feet could even reach the pedals, sitting me on his lap, letting me steer, instilling me a sense of responsibility and connection to the land that ran deeper than just farming. He'd tell me, son, this land, it's not just dirt, it's life. Treat it right, and it'll treat you right. And that philosophy extended to everything, to people, to relationships, to the very fabric of our existence. Then came the storms. Oh, the summer storms. They'd roll in fast, a dark bruise on the horizon, bringing with them a sudden hush, a stillness in the air before the wind whipped up, rattling the windows and bending the trees. We'd gather on the porch, watching the lightning split the sky, counting the seconds until the thunder roared, feeling the rumble deep in our chests. And afterwards, the air would be clean and fresh, smelling of wet earth and ozone, and the world would feel washed anew, vibrant and alive. Those storms taught me about the power of nature, but also about the comfort of being safe inside, surrounded by family, knowing that even the fiercest tempest would eventually pass. I remember one particularly violent storm, the kind that makes the whole house shake. I was just a small boy, maybe 5 or 6, and I was terrified. Mama held me close, singing softly, and Papa just sat there, calm as could be, watching the rain lash against the window pane. He told me, son, the storm ain't gonna last forever. Just like a bad day, it'll pass. What matters is who you're with when it does. And he was right. The storm passed, and the next morning, the world was sparkling, fresh and new, and the air smelled sweeter than ever. The fields drank deeply, and the corn, battered but not broken, seemed to stand a little taller, a little greener. It was a powerful lesson, repeated every summer, about resilience, about weathering the hard times, and about the inevitable return of sunshine. We learned to respect the storms, to prepare for them, but never to fear them, knowing that they were a necessary part of the cycle of life, bringing renewal and growth in their wake. As I grew, so did my understanding of this place. It wasn't just fields and farms. It was a community, a living, breathing thing. The 4th of July was always a spectacle. The whole town would gather in the park, picnic blankets spread out like a patchwork quilt, the air thick with the smell of barbecue in anticipation. Kids would run wild, sparklers held aloft like tiny wands, their faces lit up with pure joy. And when the fireworks finally burst over the old water tower, painting the night sky with explosions of color, it felt like the whole world was holding its breath, united in that moment of shared wonder. Those were the times when you truly felt the pulse of this small town, the deep roots that held us all together. But it wasn't just the big celebrations. It was the quiet acts of kindness. Mrs. Gable bringing over a fresh baked pie when someone was sick, Mr. Henderson extending credit at the store when times were tight, the whole community showing up to help a neighbor rebuild after a barn fire. It was a tapestry woven with threads of generosity, resilience, resilience, and an unspoken understanding that we were all in this together. I remember the year the old church roof collapsed after a heavy snow. Within days, farmers, shopkeepers, even the kids were there clearing debris, hauling lumber, sharing meals. No one asked for payment. No one kept score. It was just what you did. That sense of collective responsibility, of looking out for your own, was as fundamental to our lives as the changing seasons. It wasn't written down anywhere, but it was understood, a silent covenant passed down through generations. It was around the time I started driving a beat-up old Ford pickup that smelled faintly of hay and gasoline that I really started to notice her. Her name was Sarah. She lived on the farm bordering ours, just beyond the old cornfield fence that separated our properties. We'd known each other our whole lives, of course, kids running wild together, but something shifted when we hit our teenage years. Suddenly, the girl who used to beat me at rock skipping contests was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Her hair was the color of sun-ripened wheat, and her laugh, a bright, clear sound, could make the whole world feel lighter. I remember the first time I really saw her. It was at the annual county fair. She was helping her dad with their prize-winning pumpkin, her face smudged with dirt, a stray piece of straw caught in her hair, and she looked up and smiled. And it was like the sun had just broken through the clouds. My heart did a little flip-flop right there, amidst the smell of popcorn and livestock. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic realization, but a slow, gentle awakening, like the dawn breaking over the fields. Every time I saw her after that, it was like seeing her for the first time, each detail more captivating than the last. Her eyes, the color of a summer sky, held a depth and a kindness that drew me in. Her hands, strong from working on her family's farm, seemed to hold a gentle grace. We started spending more time together, not just as friends, but as something more. We'd meet by that old cornfield fence, the one that had always been just a boundary, and it slowly became our meeting place, our secret spot. We'd talk for hours, leaning against the weathered wood, watching the corn grow taller than our heads, whispering secrets and dreams as the sun dipped low. It was there, amidst the rustling leaves and the scent of the earth, that I first felt the flutter of something truly profound in my chest. It wasn't just friendship anymore. It was a deep, aching tenderness, a longing that felt as natural and inevitable as the changing seasons. We'd share our hopes for the future, our fears about leaving this familiar world, and the quiet understanding that grew between us was a comfort I hadn't known I needed. We'd sit there, sometimes not even talking, just listening to the sounds of the evening, the distant lowing of cattle, the chirping of crickets, the gentle rustle of the corn, and it felt like the most perfect silence in the world. We talked about everything and nothing, about our dreams of what life would be like after high school, about the challenges of farming, about the silly gossip from town, about the books we were reading, about the songs on the radio. Every conversation felt like a discovery, peeling back layers, revealing more of who we were and who we were becoming together. The air around us seemed to hum with an unspoken promise, a quiet certainty that our paths were meant to converge. One evening, after a particularly hot day, we were sitting there, the air thick with the promise of rain. The sky was a bruised purple, and the distant rumble of thunder was a familiar lullaby. We were talking about leaving, about what lay beyond the fields, the big cities we'd only seen in magazines. I was full of the restless energy of youth, convinced there was something more out there for me. Sarah, though, she had a quiet wisdom even then. She looked at me, her eyes reflecting the last light of the setting sun, and said, "Sometimes the biggest adventures are right where you are, if you just know how to look." And in that moment, as the first fat drops of rain began to fall, I realized she was right. My adventure, my whole world, was right there, sitting beside me, her hand brushing mine as we instinctively reached for shelter under the wide branches of the old oak tree that stood sentinel by the fence. That night, the storm broke with a fury. The rain came down in sheets, washing the dust from the world, and the lightning illuminated the cornfield in stark, beautiful flashes. We stayed there, huddled together, the thunder echoing around us. And it was then, in the heart of that summer storm, that I first kissed her. It was a kiss that tasted of rain and earth and a future I hadn't dared to imagine. It wasn't a grand, cinematic moment with violins, but it was real, raw, and utterly perfect. It was the moment the cornfield fence stopped being a boundary and became the place where our lives truly began to intertwine. From that day forward, that fence wasn't just a marker between two farms. It was the sacred ground where our love took root, a silent witness to countless shared moments, whispered dreams, and the quiet unfolding of our future. We spent countless evenings there, watching the seasons change, from the vibrant green of spring to the golden hues of autumn, and even the stark beauty of winter, the bare branches silhouetted against a pale sky. Each season brought its own magic, its own lessons, and our love deepened with every passing day, growing as steadily and surely as the corn in the fields around us. Life, as it always does, kept moving. There were heartbreaks, of course. The year the drought hit, and we watched the corn wither, the fields turn to dust. The quiet sorrow in Old Man Hemlock's eyes as he walked his parched land. It taught us about resilience, about leaning on each other when times were tough. The community rallied, sharing what little water we had, praying for rain, and when it finally came, a gentle, persistent drizzle that lasted for days. The relief was palpable, a collective sigh of gratitude that settled over the entire valley. We learned that even in the darkest times, there was always hope, always a helping hand, always the promise of renewal. I remember Papa and Old Man Hemlock sitting on the porch, their faces etched with worry, but never despair. They spoke of past droughts, of tougher times, and how the land always came back, just like the people who worked it. Their quiet strength was a beacon for us all. That drought was a test, not just of our crops, but of our spirit. We learned to conserve, to innovate, to pray with a fervor that only comes from true desperation. And when the rain finally came, it wasn't just water. It was a blessing, a reaffirmation of faith, a reminder that even the hardest trials eventually yield to grace. There were also moments of profound joy. Backyard barbecues that stretched late into the night, the air thick with laughter and the smell of charcoal. Impromptu dances in the barn, the old radio playing country tunes, our boots scuffing the dusty floor. The day Sarah and I graduated high school, sitting on the bleachers, holding hands, looking out at the familiar faces, knowing that our path, unlike many of our friends, would keep us here rooted in this soil. We chose to stay, to build our lives here because we knew deep in our bones that this was where we belonged. This was where our story was meant to unfold. We saw friends leave for the city, chasing different dreams, and while we wished them well, there was never a moment of regret for us. Our roots were too deep, our connection to this land and to each other too strong to ever consider leaving. We knew the city held its own allure, its own opportunities, but we also knew it couldn't offer the quiet satisfaction of watching a seed sprout, the camaraderie of a barn raising, or the profound peace of a starlit night far from the city lights. This was our heritage, our future, and our choice, made with open eyes and full hearts. We got married on a perfect autumn day, the leaves on the trees a riot of gold and crimson. The reception was held in our old barn, strung with fairy lights, smelling of hay and wildflowers. Martha from the diner catered, of course, bringing her famous fried chicken and a smile that could light up the room. Old Man Hemlock, looking a little stooped but still with that kind twinkle in his eye, gave a toast that was short and sweet about the importance of good land, good neighbors, and a good woman. It was a day filled with so much love, so much genuine happiness, that it felt like the very air vibrated with it. I remember dancing with Sarah under those twinkling lights, her hand in mine, and feeling a sense of peace and rightness that I hadn't known was possible. It wasn't just a wedding. It was a celebration of everything we held dear, surrounded by the people who had shaped us in the place that had always been home. Every face in that barn was a familiar one, a part of our story, a thread in the rich tapestry of our lives. The music played, laughter echoed, and for a few hours, the world outside faded away, leaving only the warmth of connection and the promise of a shared future. The years that followed were filled with the steady rhythm of farm life. Early mornings, the dew still heavy on the grass, the smell of fresh coffee brewing. Long days in the fields, the sun on your back, the hum of the tractor, a familiar companion. The satisfaction of seeing a crop grow from tiny seeds to a bountiful harvest. It wasn't always easy. There were lean years, unexpected breakdowns, and the constant worry of the weather. But through it all, Sarah was by my side, her strength and unwavering spirit a constant source of comfort. She was more than just my wife. She was my partner in every sense of the word, working the land alongside me, raising our family, and always reminding me of the simple beauty in our lives. We learned to lean on each other, to find joy in the small victories, and to face every challenge with a shared resolve. We learned to read the sky, to feel the subtle shifts in the wind, to understand the language of the earth. We learned that farming wasn't just a job. It was a way of life, a constant negotiation with nature, a dance between effort and surrender. And through it all, our love grew, not with dramatic flourishes, but with the quiet, steady strength of an old oak tree. its roots reaching deeper with every passing year. We raised our own children here, teaching them the same lessons the land had taught us: patience, hard work, the beauty of a simple life, and the unbreakable bonds of family and community. They learned to skip rocks in Miller's Creek, just like I did, and to chase fireflies on warm summer nights. They knew Martha's coffee order, and they learned to respect the quiet wisdom of Old Man Hemlock. Even after he was gone, his memory living on in the stories we told and the lessons he'd imparted. I remember teaching my son, little Thomas, how to drive the tractor, his small hands gripping the wheel, his eyes wide with concentration. And my daughter, Lily, with her mama's golden hair, spending hours in the garden, her fingers stained with earth, just like Sarah's. Watching them grow up in this place, surrounded by the same fields and skies that had shaped me, was a profound joy, a continuation of a legacy, a testament to the enduring power of home. We taught them the importance of honesty, of kindness, of helping a neighbor, of knowing where you come from. We taught them that true wealth isn't measured in possessions, but in the richness of your relationships and the peace in your heart. They learned to appreciate the taste of a fresh-picked tomato, the smell of rain on dry earth, the sound of crickets on a summer night. They learned that life here, though sometimes hard, was full of a deep, abiding beauty that city life could never replicate. As they grew older, they too faced the pull of the wider world. Thomas, with his keen mind for mechanics, considered going to college for engineering. Lily, with her artistic eye, dreamed of studying art in a big city. We encouraged them, of course, knowing that every bird must eventually leave the nest. But we also instilled in them the understanding that no matter where they went, this place, this land, this family would always be their anchor, their true north. Thomas did go to college, and for a few years, he worked in a bustling factory town. But the quiet call of the fields, the familiar scent of the earth, eventually drew him back. He returned, bringing new ideas, new technologies, but with the same deep respect for the old ways. He now works alongside me, his strong hands, much like Old Man Hemlock's, guiding the next generation of our farm. Lily, she did go to the city, and she found success, her art reflecting the landscapes and the people of her childhood. But she comes home often, bringing her city friends, showing them the quiet beauty of our rural life, reminding them that there's more to the world than concrete and bright lights. And when she paints, her canvases are filled with the golden light of our sunsets, the deep greens of our cornfields, and the soulful eyes of the people who call this place home. This porch, this rocking chair, they've been my companions through it all. They've seen me through the quiet triumphs and the whispered sorrows. They've held me as I watch my children grow and leave their own marks on the world. And they've been here as Sarah and I have grown older, our hands still finding each other's, our love deeper and more resilient than ever. The cornfield fence is still there, a little more weathered now, but still standing, a silent testament to the beginning of our story and to all the years that have followed. It's seen us through seasons of plenty and seasons of struggle, through laughter and tears, through the quiet moments of everyday life and the grand celebrations that mark the passage of time. It's more than just a fence. It's a symbol of connection, of enduring love, and of the unbreakable bond between a family and the land they call home. We've watched countless sunsets from this very spot, our shoulders touching, our hearts full. We've seen the fireflies dance, the stars emerge, the moon cast its gentle glow over the sleeping fields. And with each passing year, the memories pile up like layers of rich soil, making our foundation stronger, our connection deeper. Sometimes, when the evening light is just right and the air is still, I can almost hear the echoes of those younger voices, the laughter, the whispered secrets, the dreams shared by that old fence. It's a reminder that life isn't about grand gestures or faraway places. It's about the small, everyday moments, the quiet beauty of a sunset, the comfort of a familiar face, the strength found in community, and the enduring power of love that grows from the deepest roots. It's about finding your own patch of earth, tending to it with care, and letting it nourish your soul. It's about understanding that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the richness of your relationships, the peace in your heart, and the simple, profound joy of a life well lived, connected to the land and the people you cherish. It's about the legacy you leave behind, not just in terms of land or possessions, but in the values you pass on, the kindness you show, and the love you share. It's about knowing that even in a world that seems to be spinning faster and faster, there are still places like this one where time slows down, where the old ways are honored, and where the heart can truly find its home. And as the last sliver of sun dips below the horizon, and the first stars begin to prick through the darkening sky, I hope this story has brought a little warmth to your heart, a little flicker of memory for the good things that truly matter. If you feel that connection to a simpler time, to the values that hold us steady, then please consider subscribing to PorchTales. Give this video a like and share it with someone who understands that the richest stories aren't always found in books or on screens, but in the quiet moments, in the gentle rhythms of life, and in the enduring love that blooms right here in the heart of a small town by an old cornfield fence. Thank you for listening, for coming home, even if just for a little while. Good night.